Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it. Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Guys, how are we doing today?
12 more days, Skip.
Well, my Cowboys won Hard Knocks this season. In fact, they were the greatest team ever on Hard Knocks, and now they're ready to go win the NFC East.
You do realize they're the only one participating in Hard Knocks, so it's kind of hard to lose.
Well, maybe they should just be retired as the all-time team. They should be on every year. Okay. Gary'd go for that.
Oh, boy, he probably would. Yeah. He probably would. You could sense that as the season ended and wrapped up last night. I wish we had more, but the reality is they did wrap up their 5-episode season last night, and we got to see the final roster cuts, Dak Prescott's preparation for the season opener against Tampa Bay, and Jerry Jones' everlasting optimism about the upcoming season. So, Shannon, did this season of Hard Knocks make you feel better or worse about the Cowboys' chances? Be honest.
Well, Skip, it didn't change my outlook because I had very little expectations of them for the season anyway. So nothing they was going to be able to do was going to change my mind. I think it gave us a glimpse inside to what Mike McCarthy, I don't know if he's really that bland and dull as far as speaking in front of his team, but I think we got an idea of like, okay, it probably made him look worse. The outside world probably looks at him a little different today than they did before the season started. You mentioned that Jerry would like to treat this like a Thanksgiving Day. He'd like to do this every year. You know, Skip, he in Detroit, they're going to be on Thanksgiving every single year. Jerry would like to do this every single year because it gives him an opportunity to showcase Jerry Jones. You get a chance to see the star. You get a chance to see the big old shiny building that, you know, in Jerry's world. So Jerry really likes this.
And how did episode 5 end last night? With about 15 straight minutes of Jerry from on high in his office, overlooking the practice field,
this thing is
watching his team at work.
Exactly. So for me, Skip, look, I saw, you know, in practice, CD, Amari make a couple of nice catches. The thing that I really could relate to, Skip, being a 7th round draft pick and waiting for the phone to ring, hoping it doesn't ring, to say, Shannon, blame your playbook. And we were sharing rooms back then. We're in the hotel, Clarion Hotel. I'll never forget it. Me and a buddy of mine, B-Mac, I know you're watching. And the phone ring. It rang. I ain't answering, Skip. You finna tell me I'm going home, bring my playbook.
Is pre-cell phone.
yeah, this is pre-cell phone.
This is the room phone. Yeah.
This is the room phone, Skip. I'm like, I ain't answering the phone.
Yep.
Then he comes out, backside. Homeboy, they got me. Good luck the rest of the way. And, you know, we still good friends today. We still talk to this day.
Was that the end of his career?
That was it. He played a couple of years in the World League. Okay. And then that was it.
Well, there was a lot of that going on last night. Yeah. Except all of the potential victims all wound up on the practice squad. But see, there was no practice squad.
Actually, 90 was the first year, but we didn't know anything about the practice squad. It was in its infancy then. I think there was like 5. They kept 5 players.
And now it's 16, so it seems like everybody's on the practice.
Maybe 7, Skip.
Now Le'Veon Bell's on the practice squad.
Yeah, you had to, you know, there was back then, Skip, you had to basically no NFL experience or 1 year. You couldn't be 7, 8 years in the league and then get on the practice squad. So that was something that I could relate to. I thought Diggs' son.
Oh, you know, he just took it over. He
loves that. He's like, you're not matching Mahomes. He's like, bro, you got to do a better job, man. You got to stop calling me Patrick Mahomes.
That kid's going to be a star.
Yeah, but Skip, you know what? You're going to be able to look back this in 20 years from now, because I remember Christian McCaffrey. Remember we showed the picture at the Super Bowl, Skip, how he was. He was like that, coming around, hanging with his dad in the locker room.
Was he that outgoing?
Yeah, he was. He was, Skip. You know, he and I played the Power Rangers. He and his brothers was always on the field playing football. So
he's become more quiet.
Yes. But he was a little bit more outgoing when he was younger. But so for me, Skip, look, I'm glad to see Dak's back out there. He looks good. Now, last night was the first time I was like, okay, Dak looked like he does have some zip on the ball, as opposed to that soft toss that I saw him doing before. So, Skip, nothing that happened in this episode changes my mind because I had very little expectations of them before it actually started. So I feel the exact same.
Okay, Shannon Sharpe, it is now my turn, and I just might need a seatbelt to put on over here because I, for one, am feeling way better about my Dallas Cowboys after last night's episode 5. I'm actually starting to get bullish on my Cowboys for the first time all offseason. I loved what I saw. it made my cowboy blue blood start to percolate and almost brought it to a boil as I watched my man Dak back. I saw him throwing some rockets. I saw some gas on the football.
So you pick it
I saw a little mustard. I saw a little juice that I have not seen.
Yeah.
I saw my man Dak Prescott cutting loose with the football in ways that I did not believe I would see even in episode 5 because he's still being troubled by this mysterious arm injury, and they keep saying, we think he'll be ready for the opener, but we're not sure. He looks 1,000% ready for the opener.
Oh, I might get a bet then.
Okay, am I right about that?
Yeah, he looked good.
You mentioned you were impressed.
Yes.
I was actually blown away by accuracy and velocity that I have not seen since the early days of camp, maybe episode 1 of Hard Knocks. It's like I'm living my life through Hard Knocks into my team, the Cowboys.
Pre-team, though. It was when he was without pads, it was before the joint practices started.
It was even before the first padded practice because that's the one where he pulled up lame, whatever was wrong with his lat muscle. I don't know what it is.
Yes.
So I was going into camp very concerned about a double surgery on his ankle. I thought it was a single surgery until episode 1 when he divulged, we kept it from the media. I needed a second surgery. He's now got a little wishbone scar on his ankle.
Okay.
But he looks like he is moving and grooving as well as ever. To me, he looked nimble. I watched him running the sprint drills, the gasser type drills, and he's planning and cutting on the ankle like nothing, like nothing's wrong with it. So my biggest fear became a non-fear because all I was concentrating on now was, is the arm going to be okay? And I think it's going to be okay. I liked his demeanor. I liked his attitude. I liked him with little Aiden Diggs. I liked everything about him. He took over the episode to me, and he took over the football team. So I think we do have permission to show a little chunk of Hard Knocks featuring Dak Prescott. Could we see him in action, both throwing the football and addressing the football team at the end of a practice, please?
Yes, sir! Oh, that's a shot. That's a shot.
I said we're going to get whatever we put into this. Harold said it best. We're investing in the bank so we can pull this out when we need it. We're going to pull it out next Thursday, and it's going to be the reason. It's going to be our ass. Who gives a if they're in the heat? It's what we got inside, the way we push each other. It's our brotherhood.
So my biggest takeaway from what you just saw is we have spent all season long on Hard Knocks ridiculing Mike McCarthy's attempts to motivate the team in pregame speeches, even weekday speeches. And it has been pathetic, and it has been embarrassing, and it has exposed Mike McCarthy as not a commanding officer type, not a natural-born leader. And it's troubling to me because I didn't know him like that because I can't see inside the locker room before games. And he did, once upon a time, long ago, coach the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers to a Super Bowl, and they won it. So I don't know what he said before the game. I don't know what he said at halftime, but somehow, did they win in spite of him? Did he go along for a great ride with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, had they not done Hard Knocks, we still wouldn't have known what type of speaker he is in front of the team. Because that's not something that we're privy to. You know, they give little coach speak after a win or something. He's like, hey, great victory. You're off till Wednesday, yada, yada, yada.
Okay, so we did see one quick glimpse of Mike McCarthy the day after cutdown day when they had their full final squad in the big meeting room all together, including 16 new practice squatters. And he was addressing the team for the first time about the upcoming game at Tampa, and I'm just going to read one line from it. We got to get in their ass and play football. What? I'm envisioning Shannon Sharpe sitting in the front row going, like seriously? We got to go play football, man. Just stop it. But then I saw that from Dak, and I thought, he's the leader of this football team. That worked for me. And he did say, we're gonna go win this game. I think I heard that come out of his we're gonna go win this. And we've put in the work to win this, and I liked every word he said because it rang 100% true, straight from the heart, straight from the gut, straight from the quarterback and the face of the franchise. The $75 million man, Dak Prescott, is starting to back it up on the practice field and in the post-practice huddle because that was leadership. That was commander-in-chief. That was natural born to me.
Skip, I don't think anybody thought that someone other than Dak was the leader of the team. You can tell guys gravitate towards him. He has just a certain disposition about himself that people want to follow him. And you want your quarterback to have that. It's not necessarily a prerequisite that your quarterback has to be the leader of the team, but it's nice for the quarterback to be the leader of the team.
I agree.
There's no question he's that.
Okay, so I have issues with my head coach. I have bigger issues with my general manager / owner, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. I love my quarterback. Dak is back, and he is the one I would suggest. The last word before they run out onto the field in Tampa, the last word needs to come from the quarterback because it'll be words that hit the hearts of his players. They will follow Dak into battle in ways that they're oblivious to the head coach. They're going to have to win in spite of Mike McCarthy. I like glimpses of him last night. He seems like a good dude.
He does. You know? He does, especially the cut. You know, you can tell it. Some guys skip. Look, it's a part of the job. You do the job.
And it's cold-blooded.
It's cold-blooded.
He was straight from the heart.
Yeah, he hugging the guys as they come in and, congratulating them.
Like that Alarcon from Mexico. You know, he's all into it, you know, and should we then, Kamara, should we prank him or should we call him? And it was warm, okay? I'm not sure that's like the complete opposite of a lot of coaches I've been around because they motivated more by fear, where you were afraid of them. And the last thing they want to do is have a heart-to-heart with you about how great it is that you're on our practice squad.
You think Coach Belichick hugging anybody?
No, he's not. Hey, and back in the days of Tom Landry and Jimmy Johnson, no, and no. Mike Shanahan, no. I'm sorry, because he had to maintain a healthy distance from you where you knew that his word was the final word and that you do not cross that man.
I remember after the final 53, Skip, we'd come in there. Friday was the game. We'd come back in there that Monday or Tuesday. Mike, we still cut people, right? Oh, you're not guaranteed. You're not guaranteed to stay on this roster the whole year. You still got to perform. You still got to play. Oh, we still cut people.
Okay, good. Okay, I don't get that from my head coach, and I still say he's basically a puppet. Okay, what else did my heart good last night? What got my blood boiling, my Cowboy blue blood boiling, was I saw Micah Parsons with DeMarcus Ware. And the kid is open to learning. He's trying to learn technique. He's trying to learn tricks of the trade. And he's gifted. You were ahead of the curve. You said he's the best defensive player in the draft. I love Patrick Surtain. I still say he's going to be like a 10-time Pro Bowler for your Denver Broncos. And he'll be right in there for defensive rookie of the year, but it's going to be hard for him because he's got to intercept like 6 or 7 passes.
Correct.
Micah Parsons is going to be all over the football field. They're going to use him 1,000 different ways. If anybody's going to bother Tom Brady, it will have to be Micah Parsons. It's a lot to ask of a raw rookie in his first game at GOAT on Thursday night solo stage. But he talked about how excited he is to be there. He said, all my homeboys want me to go get him, sack him at least once. And he said, I don't know. He said the right things. I don't know if I can pull that off. But I'm going to be out there giving them hell. And I believe he will give everybody they play hell. And then we go to the other young player on my defense, Trevon Diggs. He is competing against a stud receiver in Amari Cooper in practice, and they are doing battle. And Amari got him in episode 4 3 times, and then last night it looked like he got him 4 straight times. That's how it was edited. And then he fouled him in the end zone. He just grabbed him on the 5th play and got a flag. But my point was, Trevon Diggs, he could be a star. He's got star quality about him. And he loves to compete. So I love what I saw, which brings me back to offense to my man Zeke. He's been happy Zeke the whole camp. He's like giddy, silly, happy. And he's teaching the kids. He's teaching that kid Hardy that wound up on the practice squad. And he looks like he's ready to be a leader of the football team. So to me, Could he have a bounce back year? You say no, and I'm saying big yes on Zeke.
Okay.
Can he do it against what was the #1 rush defense in the league last year, tomorrow night in Tampa? It's going to be tough, but he's got to set an early tone, maybe so. So I loved what I'm seeing from all of the above. It felt good to me. CeeDee Lamb, seeing inside him, it felt good to me. He's going to have a breakout season.
But Skip, when I look at it, are you playing the short game or are you playing the long game? This is an 18-week, basically, regular season.
Yep.
Are you putting all your eggs in this one basket? Are you going to be deflated if you don't come out? Because it seems to me you're bullish on them after episode 5. Are you going to be sluggish if they don't come out and play like you expect them to play on Thursday night? Are you going to come in on Friday and be like,
okay,
I got too excited?
As I predicted, this point spread has escalated up. It is now 8.5. 8.5-point dogs. They are by a whole point the biggest underdog of this opening weekend.
Well, you see what happened. They watched episode 5 of Hard Knocks and said, "No, we need to give them another half a point."
I think they watched yesterday's episode of Undisputed, and I'm saying if I were a betting man and I didn't love the Dallas Cowboys, I would bet the ranch on Tampa in this game, even at 8 points, because I think it should be a 12-point spread. I just feel better about the overall morale of my football team. The potential is there. We're going to win the NFC East and shut you up. That's all I care about. And now I'm at least to the point where I think we'll be good enough tomorrow night not to get embarrassed.
But you picked the score to be something like 35-10.
I did 35-10.
That's embarrassing.
I'm going to adjust it down a little bit by tomorrow.
Okay,
just a little bit, because I like the way Dak will not have played a football game of any reality.
There's a lot of guys that haven't played football games in a very long time.
But he hasn't played for 333 days.
Yeah.
Do I love that? I do not love that.
Well, Lyle Collins hadn't played it even longer. Tyron Smith is right on that in that same. Well, at least they went out there and got 4 or 5 reps in the preseason.
Okay, and they're still playing games about Zach Martin. I doubt seriously he's going to play, but they're saying under the protocol, because he's vaccinated, that he will get a chance to pass 2 straight COVID tests.
Right.
To get to tomorrow night, that there's still a tiny window of opportunity that he might be able to play. Obviously, he's not injured. I don't know what COVID is doing to him. CeeDee talked about how he quickly lost taste and smell. But it went away and it seemed like 4 or 5 days, and he was right back to normal. So I don't know what's going on with Zach's body right now, but if he's okay from COVID, then I wouldn't be shocked if he'd play tomorrow night. So I got all that going for me.
You're hoping.
Okay, I am hoping. So now if you want me to go back to pessimistic and objective, I will cap it off with this. The man who scares me the most about my Cowboys is the same man who has owned and operated the Cowboys since 1989. And the most horrifying scene of all of episode 5, and really all of Hard Knocks, came fairly early in last night's episode. If we could see Jerry in the cuts meeting with the coaches and Will McClay, the personnel director, with Stephen at his side, Stephen Jones.
Discussing guys.
Running backs.
Hardy is a work in progress. Given him a lot of opportunities here the last couple of weeks, and he'll be better for it. I mean, so.
And we know he's got a level of burst and a level of quickness.
Now, if something changes between now and 3 o'clock tomorrow because of a switch or a swap or a trade or we reserve the right to change our mind till 3.
Horrifying.
He's the only one.
Okay, to me, to see 78-year-old Jerry Jones in a cuts meeting with veto power. Like he is the operating general manager.
Yeah.
Final say, buck is going to stop on Jerry's desk.
He's made it abundantly clear.
Okay, but I got to see it, or I had to see it. I was forced to swallow it in action.
Yeah.
Right? I got right before. I don't even envision that ever happening.
No.
I know on draft night he's right in the middle of it, but they're talking about the 55th, 4th, and 3rd man on the squad, right? That's what we're talking about. And he wants to know everything. He wants to have his hands on the final 3 guys who make the roster.
Skip, some owners on draft night will be in there, but it's just mainly for show. Just like, okay, I'm a part, but they're not, okay, who are we doing and all that, anything like that. They're definitely not in the cuts meeting. Mr. B was not in the cut meeting with Mike Shanahan.
Has any owner in the history of the league been in a cuts meeting?
No.
I could see if maybe they sat in on the final meeting before a Super Bowl just to hear what the strategy was. This is the minutia. As Jerry said, the night he bought the team, that it was called the Saturday Night Massacre back in February of 1989. He said that night, while everybody was mourning the quote-unquote death of Tom Landry, as in that was the end of him. He'd been fired. And Jerry was like, Christmas morning, I bought the Dallas Cowboys. And he said, I'm going to know everything down to the socks and jocks. That was the quote.
Right.
Well, this is a socks and jocks meeting. Yeah. This is where he wants to know. And he's actually sharing his input on the little Hardy kid who made the practice squad. And he's saying, well, we know he's got that
burst.
That quickness, that burst. What? It's like fantasy football. It's like he's sitting up there watching like a fan.
Right.
And I defend Jerry in that he did play college football at a pretty high level.
Yes.
He was starting guard on a national championship team at Arkansas. But the point is, as much as I credit him for making the Charles Haley trade, because he is a wheeler dealer, that's where he's at his best.
Right.
If you tell him, hey, Charles Haley is really good and he could change the balance of power, oh, okay, well, let me go see if I can pull this off with Carmen Policy in San Francisco. And that was 1992 when he pulled it off. They were sick and tired of Charles Haley. He'd become way more trouble to them than he was
Very sick and very tired.
Very sick and very tired because the episodes were ugly beyond printable. We can't even talk about
And getting worse.
Right, and getting worse. And somehow Jerry pulled off trading for Charles Haley, and it simply put them over the top into winning the next 2 Super Bowls that should have been, as you know, maybe 4 or 5 Super Bowls. But they did win 3 out of 4.
Right.
And that was thanks in large part to Charles Haley and to Jerry Jones. But does he understand and know football? Not really.
You know where you get this from. What other owner in NFL history?
Al Davis.
Thank you.
Yep. He learned, he sat at the knee of Al Davis that first year. Right away, they started having camp joint practices with the Oakland Raiders so that Al Davis and Jerry could go to dinner every night.
Skip, we have practice scripts.
Yep.
Okay, you got the plays that you're going to run. They had to give Al a practice script.
Yep.
Copies of the practice, Al had to see, okay, does this match up?
Okay, but Al had at least coached.
Skip, he was the commissioner of the AFL.
He was the commissioner of the AFL, but he also coached. He was the head coach in the AFL.
So it wasn't just like, okay, I own a team. I got the money. I own a team. That's what I'm doing. No, he got his hands dirty. He understood the minutia, the nuances of running, of coaching. Skip all the cuts and the details and looking at the gameplay. What goes into being a coach and what goes into running a team. Skip, from the ground level, not from the upper level. Jerry understands that, Skip. He's as good a businessman as we've ever had on a team in the NFL.
Agreed.
That cannot be questioned. That cannot be denied.
Yep.
But on the ground floor.
Yep. Okay. So, bottom line takeaway from last night was, I believe my team is positioned to win the NFC East. That's all I'm going to say. And at least not embarrass itself at Tampa tomorrow night.
Embarrassed.
And that will be all in spite of. They will win in spite of the head coach and the owner, general manager. In spite of.
Well, you might need to watch episodes 6 and 7. You're getting embarrassed.
Really?
On national television.
Well, episode 6 will occur on Friday morning right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I want you to say how you call for copy, how you call for that. I want you to call for them plays when Tom Brady throws for like 4 touchdowns. I want you to call when that defense is suffocating your team. Yep.
Oh, so you have now agreed that Tom Brady is the greatest player in NFL history, right?
No,
Tom Brady is so great that they had to talk about him on the episode last night. Just how challenging it is to go up against the guy. It was an entertaining season. I always enjoy the inside look. The Kamara moment was definitely my favorite, Shannon. It's cool to have those moments when, just they've been working for it their whole life. We have so much more Cowboys as they prepare for the Bucs. I can finally say it tomorrow. But next, one of LeBron's former rivals speaks out against the King. Don't go anywhere.
No mercy, no mercy, no mercy, and I won't back down, and I won't back down.
Paul Pierce was featured in a new Sports Illustrated interview where he broke down his whole Hall of Fame career. Pierce also spoke about his time as a broadcaster, implying he doesn't miss that line of work in part because you have to talk about LeBron all the time. Pierce and James were rivals for years, including classic matchups during the Eastern Conference playoffs as LeBron started cementing his own Hall of Fame legacy. So, Skip, your reaction to all of that?
Shannon Sharpe.
Yep.
I have long been a Paul Pierce fan for one reason and one reason only. Because the truth, as Paul was called, never believed LeBron James was the truth. He never highly respected him the way most of his rivals do. In fact, he was the one and only rival who never bought completely into LeBron, never sold out to LeBron, never became friends or even friendly with LeBron, and never became business partners with LeBron the way Draymond did after Draymond called LeBron the B word during a finals game, got suspended over it, and the next thing I know, the offseason comes, and he's become a business partner of LeBron James. And I'm like, okay, game over. You gave it up. That's fine. LeBron is highly likable. I think he's a nice guy. I don't know Paul Pierce, but I just know that he loved playing against LeBron, and he ultimately despised even having to talk about LeBron as he retired into television. He had a hard time getting the words out of his mouth because he hated LeBron in the basketball, just in the basketball sense. And they went at it. And I'm going to remind everybody, Paul Pierce was 7+ years older than LeBron.
Yes.
He did not keep himself in the greatest of physical condition the way LeBron has, which is the secret to his duration into, what are we up to, year 19 next year for LeBron. Paul wasn't going to last that long, but when Paul was the truth for the Boston Celtics, especially in 2008 and then 2010, he gave LeBron all LeBron wanted. I thought Paul outplayed him. In 2010, they met in the conference semifinals. You recall, and it went to Game 7. And all you blind witnesses out there, I dare you to go look up the play-by-play to that game down the stretch. Both of them had huge games. Paul had 41, 4, and 5. LeBron had 45, 5, and 6. But down the stretch, it's mano a mano. And I'm not saying Paul was a great defender, but he was a good one because he was wily, he was slick, and he would compete at the highest level and use every trick in the book. And he used them down the stretch, and over the last 2:20 of that game, LeBron went 0 for 3 from the floor and did make 1 of 2 free throws, but late in the game, it was 16.5 seconds left. He could have cut it to 3, and he missed the second free throw. And Paul did make the 2 that iced the game with 7.9 seconds left, so that was Game 7 of 2008 when, obviously, Paul and company went on to win the NBA Finals, and he was the MVP. And he was a 10-time All-Star, and then it all culminated in 2010 when, obviously, once again, they met in the conference semifinals. And if you recall, LeBron played what I thought was his greatest game ever. You could say there are other bigger, like the Game 6 at Boston, and what year was that, 2011? Yeah, 2012, when he finally broke through and won his ring. But in that series, it was Game 3 at Boston Garden, and LeBron just went off. It was a Friday night, May the 7th, and LeBron went 38, 8, and 7 to put them up 2-1. And then Paul Pierce took the series over defensively, and LeBron was held over the next 3 games to 21 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists. That's good, but he averaged 6 turnovers a game in those last 3 games. They lost all 3. LeBron was a -37 in those games. Paul was a +61 in those 3 games. And that was when a member or 2 or 3 members of the inner circle of LeBron James told ESPN that LeBron had to be sedated before those 3 games because of a locker room issue. I'll leave it at that. I was a little skeptical about that. And then Dan Gilbert, as you recall, said that accused LeBron of quitting over those 3 games. So that was the peak of Paul Pierce versus LeBron was right there. Thereafter, LeBron just took over that rivalry, and it wasn't much of a rivalry. And especially when he got to Miami, he just took it over. Well, I'm just saying. But Paul Pierce gave him all he wanted in 2008 and 2010, and he never backed off. He never gave in.
But you know, dude, you got to tell the whole context.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay, 2008 and 2010, who did he have on his roster?
Yeah, well, he's going against the quote-unquote best player on the planet.
No. We remember that. It doesn't matter. Because Kevin Durant, you said yesterday, he didn't have anybody.
Who was the MVP of the 2008 finals? Paul Pierce. Okay, so he was the best player of those big three, right?
Let me get to this. Actually, KG. But anyway, let me get to this. Start this first. I don't think Paul Pierce really understands how TV works. TV works like that. LeBron James is the biggest star in basketball.
Well, sure. But I'm just saying that's how much he despised LeBron. He couldn't even get the name out of his mouth.
He despised him because the man surpassed him. By LeBron's second year in the league, NBA, he was better than Paul Pierce was going to ever be. Because you have to understand.
Well, I'll give you that.
Paul Pierce came in the league in '98, Skip.
Yep.
So he got Shaq was Shaq. Tim Duncan was Timmy, and you had Dirk Nowitzki.
Yep.
You had Kobe starting to be Kobe. You have AI. And now all of a sudden Paul Pierce says, well, I'm somewhere in there. You get an 18-year-old kid comes into the NBA, and everybody's hyping him.
Yep.
You got a 26-year-old is jealous of an 18-year-old because everybody is hyping him. If you think about it, Skip, you keep saying with 2008, it was Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, and I got Pert. Going against LeBron James, Delonte West, Ben Wallace in year 12, Wally Zerbiak, and Ilgauskas.
Okay.
You think that's fair?
Well, you told me, you tell me every day that LeBron is the greatest ever. He's the GOAT.
KD had the same opportunity. KD.
Yeah.
Okay. So you keep saying the two series that Paul Pierce won in 2008 and 2010.
Yep.
LeBron James averaged 27, 8, and 7. Paul Pierce averaged 17, 5, and 4. Now, once he got help, he got with Chris Bosh. He got with Dwayne Wade. LeBron won 3 series, 31, 8, and 4. Paul Pierce was 17, 5, and 2.
Wait a second. I pointed out, though, what happened in Game 7 of 2008? Help me out. Who outplayed whom in Game 7? When the money got pushed to the middle of the table, who outplayed whom?
You see what you do?
I'm not doing it. I'm spitting facts that you cannot refute.
Pick individual games.
It's the game. It's Game 7. You're showing LeBron in Game 7. Baloney.
Okay, was his game better than LeBron Game 6 of 2012? Since we're going to pick individual games.
Well, this is head-to-head. We're doing the head-to-head.
Was Paul Pierce playing in 2012?
Yeah.
Was he playing against the Boston Celtics?
Yeah, but we're talking about when he was in his prime. He was out of his prime by that point.
Oh, he was out of, so just 2 years later, he was out of his prime.
When he hit 30, he was pretty well washed up.
You think you did, Skip?
Well, I did. You know it, and I know it. Skip. I just said he didn't take care of himself.
That ain't my fault.
Okay, well,
that's not LeBron's fault either.
So how do you explain what happened in 2010 when LeBron had one of his greatest games? I thought it was his greatest, and they're up 2-1, and then LeBron, over 3 games that they lose, he averages only 21 points with 6 turnovers a game. 6 turnovers? He had 19 total turnovers in 3 games. Help me out.
Skip.
How do you explain it? How do you defend it? You can't.
Because what they had was Defensive Player of the Year in Kevin Garnett. They had Big Pert, and they did a great job of walling him off. So Paul Pierce always had help. But what happened when LeBron got help that was equal to Paul Pierce's help? How many times did they win the series? Because, see, what you do is that you always say LeBron is the best player. He should overcome all obstacles. But you never said that about Michael. You never said that about KD, that they should overcome all obstacles, no matter the circumstances. But only LeBron is supposed to do that.
Okay, I give you that ultimately LeBron was much better than Paul Pierce. I give you that. But the point was, Paul Pierce was a very credible rival from 2008 to 2010.
Skip.
When the money was on the table, it was Paul Pierce's game.
He had the better team.
Okay, but he was the truth. He was the best player on his team.
I get this, but Skip, so is Kevin Garnett not a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Sure.
Is Ray Allen not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I think you would be a first ballot Hall of Famer in basketball.
But I'm saying, so which one of those guys? So I need to know, Delonte West, Ilgauskas, Ben Wallace finally went to the Hall of Fame, Wally Zerbiak.
Yeah.
Which one of those guys is going to the Hall of Fame?
Okay.
Now, he got 3 guys in his starting lineup. Rondo's probably going to be a Hall of Famer.
Wasn't Mo Williams on that team?
Oh, Mo Williams going to the Hall of Fame too, huh?
No, but he was good. He was an all-star. Pretty
You
good
see
player.
what you do, Skip?
I'm just doing.
So under that case, hold on. Wasn't Blake Griffin an all-star? Was it DeAndre Jordan the All-Star?
Okay.
Since you want to take All-Stars, even though it was many, many years ago, you see what you do, Skip? Paul Pierce has never been a rival. The hammer and
a rival?
Skip.
Are you kidding me?
Skip. The hammer.
He owned him through 2010. Owned him.
No.
Just flat out owned him. Made him quit, according to Dan Gilbert. Made him quit.
Dan Gilbert,
the owner wrote that he quit.
Skip. Dan Gilbert is the jilted lover. You know what happens when people break up? They say, you were terrible. You couldn't do this. You couldn't do that. Things they never said when we were together and everything was going great. But the moment things don't go great, you say all these negative things because you try to paint me in a negative light. But guess what? Even though Dan Gilbert said all that, who got their ass on a plane and went like a thief in the night down to Fort Lauderdale to have a meeting with Rich Paul and LeBron James? Tell the people at home who did that.
Ilgauskas.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it was Ilgauskas.
It was Dan Gilbert.
But Ilgauskas was on the flight, too.
Yeah.
You ask, I answer.
Hold on. Why would you go talk about a guy that quit? A guy that was the self-proclaimed great, a king. Why would you do that if that man quit on your ball club?
Well, he still believes that he quit.
Yeah, you see what you say? You say things when you hurt, Skip.
Okay, I'm just telling you, he was a very credible rival because he beat LeBron when it mattered the most in 2008 and 2010. And the point was that he never let it go. He never sold out to LeBron the way everybody does because he's the face of the league. He never buddied up. He never got close. He never befriended LeBron, and I respected that. He did not believe that man was the truth. He believed that under fire, under the greatest pressure, Game 7 of 2008, he would come apart. That's what Paul Pierce always believed.
But see, you love to say that he came apart when you got the better team. What happened when LeBron had a comparable team? Why didn't he come apart then? Why couldn't Paul Pierce hold his feet to the fire? You remember when Paul Pierce went to the Brooklyn Nets? I want LeBron James. I got it. He's not that. He dropped 49 on his head. He broke. Guess what? LeBron James, I kept telling you, Yoko Ono, because he broke him up in Boston. And what did they do, Skip? Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce went to Brooklyn.
They did.
Joined Joe Johnson and Darren Williams. He broke them up. KG ended up going back to Minnesota, and Paul Pierce bounced around like a bouncing ball.
Paul Pierce was a shell of himself by that point because he did not stay
Guess who
in
shelled
shape.
him? Guess who shelled him?
Well, what did you tell me LeBron did in Game 6 against those mighty Pistons with all those Hall of Famers and champs?
That's why Boston Celtics went and got Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen, because they knew they couldn't see him again.
What year did he have that Game 6 at Detroit?
2007.
Thank you. And then what happened in 2008, Game 7? Paul Pierce happened. Paul Pierce happened. That's what happened.
No. You skipping some details. What happened summer? What happened in the summer? What happened, Skip, in 2008? The offseason. What happened? They went and got Kevin Garnett. They went and got Ray Allen.
I thought you meant Tony Parker married Eva Longoria.
No.
Because after they swept LeBron in the finals, he got married. He went to Paris and got married.
Hey,
that's what happened.
Think about it.
LeBron got swept in the finals after he routed
against the greatest power forward, a first ballot Hall of Famer in Tony Parker. So, Skip, don't do that, Skip. So
if he's that guy, you got to win one game.
But you see what you did? You never did that with Michael. You always talk about Bird said he was the GOAT, said he was God in sneakers. That's what you do. All I'm asking you is to hold Kevin Durant, hold Michael Jordan to the same standard that you do Bron.
All right.
That's it.
All I'm asking you is to come to grips with the part that my point about Paul Pierce is I respect him because he never fell in love with LeBron James.
That's fine, Skip.
He always kept an arm's length, and it got to TV where he didn't. It's like all you want to do is talk about LeBron. Yeah, that's what we do. I love to talk about LeBron because he is the most interesting man in sports. He is the drama king. It's something every night with LeBron, but Paul doesn't belong in TV talking about basketball, because if you're going to talk about basketball, you have to talk about him every day.
Jealousy is a lot like cancer. It'll get inside of you, eat you from within.
Yeah.
If you don't think Paul Pierce is jealous of what this, because think about it. You were envious.
I'm sure there's some.
You were envious. You're 26 years old. I'm a grown-ass man with kids. And I'm jealous of an 18-year-old just getting to the NBA?
Well, yeah, you can say he was jealous, but he put him in his place twice in 2008 and 2010. Did he not just own him in those two?
Skip, it's easy to own someone.
He beat him head to head.
Skip.
Again, Paul Pierce scored 41 points.
So we're not going to mention Kevin Garnett. Where's Kevin Garnett in the top power fours ever? He's top three, top four.
Okay, all I know is you tell me he is the GOAT and the best player on the planet. Well, show me.
Okay.
Game 7, take it over.
Kevin Durant had that same opportunity.
Do a Detroit on Boston.
Kevin Durant had the same opportunity to show you.
I don't care about Kevin Durant. This is about Paul Pierce.
You see?
It's about the truth.
Skip, that's the thing. You don't hold KD. He's the best player on the planet, but he wasn't supposed to beat Giannis.
Okay.
Michael Jordan's the best player on the planet, but he wasn't supposed to beat the big three Celtics.
Am I right about this? The truth, as Paul was called, did not believe he was the truth. Am I right about that?
Skip.
Yes. That's the point.
Skip, here's the thing. Just because you don't believe something doesn't make you right.
Well, that's what he believed, and he never backed off.
Okay, that's fine.
He never sold out to TV or to the blind witnesses out there on Twitter and Instagram saying he's the king. And king of what, says Paul Pierce.
So hold on. Well, if Paul Pierce is the truth, he got to beat LeBron when he was in Miami. If he's the truth, LeBron made the man out into a liar because he never saw him again.
7.5 years, the senior of LeBron James. 7.5 years.
Hold on, Skip, what I look like? I'm in the NFL, and I'm talking trash to a high school.
Okay, they're in their prime in 2008 and 2010. That's when it really mattered, when the money got pushed to the middle of the table. Where was the king?
So in other words,
the chosen one.
So I'm just making sure I'm hearing you correctly. So in 2012 and 2011, so 1 year later, Paul Pierce was out of his prime.
Well, by 2012 he was, to me. Because once you hit 30 and you don't take care of yourself, you're done. And he always looked a little heavy, didn't he?
But Skip, the man played another 6-7 years.
Yeah, because he was highly skilled. He was the truth.
He wasn't skilled. He
was a 10-time All-Star. It's not like he was chopped liver. It's not like he had a couple of blips.
10-time All-Star. LeBron's a 13-time first-team All-NBA.
I told you, LeBron's way better than Paul Pierce in the big picture.
And there you go.
Okay, except when they were prime to prime. This happened in 2008.
But see, you tried to make it prime to prime, but it wasn't a one-on-one because LeBron would have mopped the floor with him. See, you keep leaving out.
I don't think LeBron mopped the floor with him in 2008 and 10.
Skip.
That was a lot of head-to-head one-on-one.
Skip. So why won't you mention KG? Why won't you mention Ray Allen and Perk and Rondo?
I got it, but the best player on the team was Paul Pierce, who proved it in the finals by winning MVP.
Skip.
Against Kobe.
Skip, nobody. The hammer and the nail can never have a rivalry. We always know who's going to win.
Well, the nail hammered the hammer twice.
I can't put it to you like this here. Ohio State and Michigan State. Ohio State and Michigan have a rivalry. Really? You feel comfortable saying that? Maybe once it used to be a rivalry.
Okay, but Michigan won twice in 2008 and 2010. Won head-to-head.
We ain't twitted.
And your guy looked pathetically bad.
No. Skip, when LeBron got comparable talent to what Paul Pierce had in Boston, he got a Chris Bosh to go with Kevin Garnett. He got him a Dwayne Wade to go against Ray Allen. What happened then?
All I know is the best player on the planet over the last 2 minutes and 20 seconds of a Game 7 in 2008 couldn't score.
Skip.
He couldn't score if he went 0 for 3.
Skip.
This
is what I learned. This is what I learned about you. What you do when you can't win an argument, you'll go to a specific.
I already won the argument.
He missed the free throw.
I stated my case and I backed it up.
No,
and you got
Skip.
no way out. You can't refute what happened in these 2 playoff series.
Skip. But you won't address the issue.
The issue to me was he's sedated.
Yeah,
really?
Take that aside. Take that aside. So what? I mean, you talk about 1 year. So the next year, LeBron played him, mopped the floor. Played him again in 2012, mopped the floor.
By the way, you skipped conveniently over 2011 at Dallas.
Oh, no. This is about Paul Pierce. Was Paul Pierce? You see what you did?
Well, that's
with Paul Pierce with Dallas.
He's sitting watching it, saying, "That's the guy." That's why I told you. I told you so.
The guy that can't do anything has 4 MVPs, 4 championships, 4 Finals MVPs, 17 straight All-Stars, 17 straight seasons of averaging 25 points. That's the guy that can't do it. That's the guy that Paul Pierce says is not that.
Chosen one became the frozen one in the 2011 Finals.
Tell me, I want to know the guy. I want to know the guy. that hasn't had a bad playoff series. Name one guy. Larry Bird in the NBA Finals his first year. Cornbread Maxwell was the Finals MVP. Larry Bird had 2 games in which he scored 8 points.
I just gave you 2 really bad series for LeBron James. 2010 versus Boston, 2011 versus
All I know
Dallas.
is everybody knows this. It's not even close. This is not even Miami to Seattle close.
Okay.
It's not even that.
Yep.
It's further.
Paul Pierce got you both fired up with this one. We could go on
Yeah, but
all
Shane goes
day.
Skip.
Probably the rest of the show, if it wasn't up to me. To wrap this up for now, I want to change gears, guys. The Athletic finished its list of their top 100 football players of all time, and Tom Brady was ranked number 1. TB12 has won 7 Super Bowl rings, 3 MVP awards, and has countless passing records as well. Shannon, have you finally come around to Brady being the greatest player ever?
I have not, but Skip, I will give the Athletic credit. We have the same top 4. We just have them in different order. I have Jerry 1. I put LT 2. I put Tom Brady 3. I have Jim Brown 4. The reason why I put Jerry numbers in an era in which they ran the football is so far ahead of the second and third best. It's not even close, Skip. The 22,000 receiving yards, the 197 touchdowns. He's 5,000 yards clear of the next closest, which is Larry Fitzgerald, who's currently doing radio. He's 41 receiving touchdowns ahead of the next closest, which is Randy Moss, who's been retired for 8 years. He's 51 more total touchdowns than the next closest. That's Moss and T.O. He has 32 more touchdowns than Emmitt Smith. And you was in Emmitt in his prime, and you know how many touchdowns Emmitt scored every year. And he kept every last one of those. I put Jerry first. I put LT, Skip. I put LT second. You covered LT. You know what he represents. What LT did, I don't think anybody's ever going to do from a defensive perspective. It would be the equivalent if Michael Parsons won Defensive Rookie of the Year and also won Defensive Player of the Year, because that's what LT did. LT was the last defensive player to win MVP. And he did it in an era, Skip. They ran the football. And for him to put the numbers up and to dominate the game like he did, no question. Tom, numbers. Tom played mainly in this passing era. His numbers, his wins, Skip, we're not going to even talk about the wins, because the wins, I don't know if somebody's ever going to catch that win total. But his numbers, they're not substantially better than Manning's. They're not substantially better than Drew Brees. Jerry's numbers in Randy and T.O., they got the tail, they got the back, they got the beginning, they got the tail end of that era in which Jerry played in. But a large portion of their careers was in the passing era, and they still couldn't catch it. I got Jerry 1, LT 2, I got Tom Brady 3. And in 20 years, Tom Brady overall had the #1 defense in 20 seasons.
You just will never give in to Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. You just won't give in. You will do anything in your power to try to make the case that anybody else.
I've made it for Jerry. I've been saying Jerry and LT.
Okay. What have you always told me about the position that you played? I'll lump it together as a receiver in professional football. It is the word you use, dependent position, right?
Yes.
You depend on the quarterback to A, decide to throw you the football, and then B, to throw it where you can remotely catch it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you are beholden to the quarterback. It's all about the quarterback, because the game is actually rigged the way it's set up, the way the rules are, where the quarterback is by far the most valuable player on the field, and it ain't even close. It starts and it finishes with the quarterback. John Gruden said yesterday, it's all about my quarterback. If I get my quarterback to play to his utmost, we have a chance to win every game. And it's just the truth about pro football. It's all about the quarterback.
Okay.
The gap in value from Tom Brady to Jerry Rice is from here to Pluto. In just pure value, it's just from here to Pluto. I know Jerry Rice. I love Jerry Rice. This is no disrespect to Jerry Rice or to Lawrence Taylor, who was the baddest man on the planet for about 5 years. But they play positions that cannot dominate the game the way the quarterback position can dominate the game. And this quarterback is the quarterback of all time. He's won 7 Super Bowls. He went and transformed the Succaneers into a Super Bowl champion in one pandemic-ridden year. I've never seen anything like it before, while playing on a torn knee ligament. And now he has them primed and positioned to win an 8th Super Bowl this year in his career. And God only knows, maybe a 9th or even a 10th wouldn't shock me, because that's how great he is as the greatest leader in sports history and the greatest clutch player over a duration of time I've ever seen this side of Jordan, who just didn't have as many opportunities to be clutch as Tom has had.
Can I ask you a question? Is the quarterback position not dependent? Because remember, Tom Brady left New England. Why? Because he felt he didn't have the receivers that he could depend on.
Okay.
So he plays a dependent position. He's depending on the offensive line to protect him. Everybody plays a dependent position.
Okay, but who is the most dependent would be the receiver on the quarterback.
But yes, but I'm saying, but here's the thing. See, you keep looking at value. I'm not looking at value. I'm looking at the best players, the most dominant players at the position. And Jerry is more dominant at his position than any other player is at their position. LT is more dominant at his position because he doesn't have the most MVPs. He doesn't have the most. Jerry has it all. And unless somebody get on the ball here, there's an outside chance Julio, if he can stay healthy for another 6 years, can catch Jerry.
How about Super Bowl MVPs?
No, Skip. Hey, quarterback. That's a quarterback. The MVP now. It's going to be very hard for someone other than a quarterback. Derrick Henry's going to have to rush for 2,300 yards. He might do that with 17 games.
Okay, you are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yes.
As a tight end, and I believe what sticks in your craw about Tom Brady is he's not athletic. You look at him and you flash on the 40-yard dash he ran at the Combine, the ugliest looking 40 in the history of the Combine. You flash on that picture of him with his just hard to watch upper body, right? Hard to look at. It's like an eyesore of an upper body, and you're saying, that guy is the GOAT of my game?
No, but Skip, when you look at it, most of the guys that are great in this sport, they aren't yoked up. They don't got 6 and 8 packs.
Okay.
They're not chiseled.
So Bruce Arians said for this piece in The Athletic, Tom's not the biggest or the fastest, all that stuff, but he is the winner of all winners. And that's what boils it down. 44 going on 24, where he is more committed than ever. He is more obsessed than ever with winning. And the story points out from Julian Edelman that it goes all the way back to the 2014 season, where he would, as soon as the previous season finished, he would put up start the clock on where the next Super Bowl was, the date of it, the place of it. And at one point, Julian said something to, this is when he'd won 3 Super Bowls, and he said, bro, how crazy is it that you're going after Montana? And Brady said, I ain't going after Montana. I'm going for Jordan. And that's when he had 3 Super Bowls, and all of a sudden he's got 7, obviously, out of 10. And 2 of them I felt like were on Belichick, because Brady did what he should have done to win the it would be his 8th and 9th Super Bowl. He should have, if not for Belichick. Okay, so the point is, it's irrefutable that the most valuable player is the quarterback. So when we start ranking them, you have to go Brady, and then you have to go Montana, and then you have to go John Elway 3rd. And I love Roger Staubach. He's underestimated. I would put him 4th on my list.
We're not doing it on value. We're saying who is the best player. I believe Jerry is better at his position. He didn't win. He doesn't have the value. No player has the value. Just like I don't believe, does a player have the value of a pitcher? Pitchers can dominate the game. A goalie can dominate the game. So obviously there's more value.
No, but the problem with the pitcher is he only pitches every 5th day.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
so again, you can argue that the home run hitter or the guy who can hit 340 is more valuable over time.
But you get Randy Johnson doing what he does. You get Sandy Koufax.
Similar. It's similar, but it's not the same, because Tom can start every game, such as tomorrow night.
But here's the thing. He's starting every game, but he's playing once a week. It's the same, basically the same. That's why I use the evaluation.
17.
Right. So that's why I'm only using it. That's why I'm using that as a benchmark.
Okay. So if I have to pick a non-quarterback, I would go to 5th on my list, and the first non-quarterback for me is Jim Brown. And I know kids out there have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm old enough. I got to watch him on television. He just dominated games. He was untackleable. He was such a force that they couldn't get him on the ground. He took over the league, and it was short-lived because he got in a contract squabble and just said, I'll go act.
Well, he wanted to act, and Mr. Artwood there said, we got camp, and you need to get here.
Yeah.
And he says, well, I'm doing this. He said, you either get here or else. And he says, well, you know what? I'm going to do else. I'm retiring.
And he was
and it walked
pretty
away
good
with 29.
C-100 rifles with Raquel.
Yeah, I think he was 29. Yeah,
yep, 29. He wasn't 30 years old yet. Okay, so that's all we got, but I saw enough.
Yeah.
And I am with you on Jerry. He put up numbers that
he's obsessed like Tom.
Okay, nobody will ever be able to deal, but nobody's ever going to do what Tom did either.
No, I agree. I don't think everybody will do. I mean, Aaron Donald is going to have to win going to have to win MVP. To basically, I mean, he got a chance to give. He can win a couple more defensive players of the year.
For the kids out there who don't know Lawrence Taylor, just YouTube it because he terrorized this league for about 5 big years.
Why do you think the left tackle is famous? Because you could not win the playoff games if you couldn't block him.
And most teams could not.
And they made everybody. The Vikings went and got Gary Zimmerman, and the Rams went and got Irv Eatman, and Joe Jacoby, and everybody. You had to get somebody to deal with him. Joe Gibbs changed his offense. He instituted the H-back because of LT.
Because he would hurt your quarterback.
If you could not block LT, you could not beat the Giants. It was simple as that, Skip. And why you think the Von Millers and the T.J. Watts and the Khalil Macks, why you think these guys, the Cornelius Bennett's, the Derek Thomases, the DeMarcus Wares, where you think they came from?
And they're all linebackers. They're not actually hand-in-the-dirt pass rushers. They're stand-up pass rushers.
That's from LT.
Yep, he started it.
That's it.
Okay, I got it. So he belongs up in there, but I can't put him first. I got to give some quarterbacks the most value.
That's the thing, Skip. You can't get over that value. And they are more valuable because they touch the ball 65 times a game. LT's not going to have 65 tackles or 20 sacks in a game, and Jerry's not going to have 65 catches. But, Skip, for me, because of where they are above the next closest behind them. It's just, and Jerry, can you imagine Jerry in this era where the DBs had all the advantage. There was no defenseless receiver. And you could hit the quarterback in his head, you could hit him in his knee, you could do everything but the bottom of his feet. Can you imagine the numbers Jerry would have in today's game?
I got it. But he did benefit from a Bill Walsh offense that Bill created sort of just for Jerry, like it was made for Jerry, right?
The run after Jerry was the guy that, run after catch. So all these guys, the Julio Jones, the A.J. Browns, the Terrell Owens, all these guys that you see tremendous run after catch came from the West Coast system.
I got it. Okay, to sum up my case for Brady, one more quote from Julian Edelman in The Athletic. When you hear people talk about Michael Jordan, how competitive he was, Tom is just like that. And I had the privilege, the honor of being around Jordan, and I will put Brady in the same sentence with him in makeup. Julian goes on to say those special, special people have that chemical makeup for greatness, and that's what Tom has. That's what I believe. It's in a different package. It looks like the father next door package, but it is a Jordan.
When it comes to competitive, I don't know about that Skip, that Jordan. Skip, you can't even be around him for like 2 seconds without him trying to gamble or trying to bet something. You just can't like, hey man, how you doing? Well, he wants to do something.
I got it.
He wants to do something that's going to get you out your shirt. Like, bro, can we just like, hey, how you doing? Good like that? We cool?
Okay.
I don't want to shoot pool. I don't want to play cards.
I know, but Brady's saving that for tomorrow night. That's what.
But Skip, now we know on the court, we know what Jordan was.
Just the cold-blooded killer I ever saw.
We know what he was on the court, but he took that off the court. I think Tom can have a good time with some friends. It's like, you know what? Let's shoot some hoop. You just have a good time. We go play around.
Play golf.
Can you play around the golf with Jordan without Jordan putting $20,000, $100,000 on a shot?
Probably now it's gone up into the millions.
Exactly.
That's actually a good point. How does he handle golf in terms of the competitiveness? I don't know about Tom. Interesting. Okay, well, speaking of that game tomorrow, are the Cowboys actually flying under the radar this season? Don't go anywhere. We discussed that.
No mercy, no mercy, no mercy, and I won't back down.
Well, Jerry Jones, he's optimistic about his team, to say the least. On Hard Knocks last night, he referred to them the upstart Dallas Cowboys, which I noticed. And earlier this week, he referred to their matchup with Tampa as David versus Goliath. And yesterday, On the radio, he said, quote, "We have so much to gain by having a good experience this Thursday night. So much to gain. These kinds of things are really what the doctor ordered for where we are. It's a great opportunity. It's as the storybook writer wrote it." So, Shannon, do you like Jerry's approach to this game?
Hell no. Skip, what is this? Skip, this is Jerry's quote. Everybody wants to win, but to get to open the NFL season in these times, the COVID time, to get to do it with the challenges, we're coming in with some challenges. Skip, what the hell is that? Hey, hold on. We're not elementary school age kids. We're not middle school or high school kids. Yep. It's not if you win, but how you play the game. In pro sports, there is no but. It's win and win. Those are the only things. There is no but. Skip, some challenges. Jerry's not the only one that's dealing with COVID. All the other teams, the 31 other teams have COVID challenges also. And Jerry is more excited about opening on Thursday night than actually winning this game.
I agree. 1,000% agree with that. That is the bottom line. Correct.
Because that's what he keeps saying. Yep. To get an opportunity to showcase. This is a showcase game.
Yep.
Okay, what about trying to win this showcase game? Because I can assure you, Tom Brady can care when he plays. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yep. He wants to win. There is no but. Most people, most professional athletes, there is no but. Jerry's already given you a caveat, but, you know, it's a valuable learning experience. Learn what? You're a professional team. You've been playing football for 60 years. What you learning? You feel comfortable with that? But you love Hard Knocks. That was your favorite one. He gave you hope. You're optimistic. Now I don't feel as bad. And you're all out here talking like that, I
told you, I'm very optimistic about my players, not about my owner, GM. What happened at the end of episode 5? In conclusion, what did we hear from Jerry Jones as he sat on high up in his palatial office overlooking his team, practicing down below him, the king of the kingdom? What did we hear him say? That in his other business interests, finishing second or third is really pretty good, right? But this is, as he said, a bottom line activity. The National Football League. You have to, and the last word of Hard Knocks was win. He looked at it, win.
So what was that but?
Okay, so the point is, that's not the truth. That's a bunch of phony baloney from Jerry Jones, because his bottom line activity is to sell. Sell.
Correct.
Sell Cowboys, sell Jerry.
Yes.
And he is a master at both. Nobody's ever been any better. And he took over the final episode. In fact, he took over the whole Hard Knocks, but you predicted he would, because that's just Jerry. And I don't know how much editorial control they have. I don't know if he can say, yes, that should be in. I need more of me. But knowing Jerry, he probably did have some control there. Like, for instance, last night, I wanted an inside look of the discussions about why they didn't sign Cam Newton. But there's no way we're going to get that, because it's too inside and it's too explosive and too potentially negative, right? So I do think there's some editorial control. But in the end, the essence, the goal is not to win, it's to promote. So for Jerry, I agree with you. Look, they're 8.5-point dogs, biggest underdog of this opening weekend. So we get that. They are in the wrong place at the wrong time. But the only way to approach this game would be to sneak up on Tampa. If you pulled your squad together behind closed doors with no HBO cameras, and you said, hey, our whole goal in these 2 weeks leading up to this game is to say nothing but positives about Tom Brady. He's the greatest. They're the defending champs, and we're just happy to be able to play there. That's the only way to sneak into that stadium and try to surprise them. Hope they don't take you seriously.
Well, it would have been great if you didn't have Tom Brady on the other side, and he didn't let you sneak up on anything.
He doesn't.
But I wanted to see, Skip, last night, what we would do, because the starters were not going to play the last preseason game. What we would do, we would already be working on next week's opponent. So starters, you're not playing. So when we practice, we were actually going up against the defense that we think we're going to see so we got a 2-week.
Okay, I got it. They should have been.
Yeah, he's talking about, this is, okay, now it's on to Tampa.
Remember, Kellen Moore did not coordinate the final preseason game because he was on to Tampa, right? Okay, that's fine. Dak said during the episode last night, I've already watched the Super Bowl, and then I went back and watched the Kansas City regular season game, and he said, they were doing everything. Yeah, everything was different.
Yes.
I got it, because everything changed in that bye week after that, that loss at home to Kansas City, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now we've heard Jerry say, upstarts, we're the upstart Cowboys. And we heard him say 2 or 3 days ago, this is David slaying Goliath on the road in foreign territory.
Right.
And now we're hearing him say last night that this is a storybook, right? You know, this could be a storybook finish, right? A storybook ending in Tampa. Well, again, you can't say it because you're up against a force of nature. The reason that guy at 44 has won 7 Super Bowls and could well win an 8th this year is he's got psycho in him. He's got some Jordan in him. You can't poke the bear, and they're poking the bear like, we're going to go down and slay Goliath. You can't say it, but Jerry says it because he's promoting Jerry. He's promoting this story.
Right.
He wants monster ratings on Thursday night because you know and I know, it'll be one of the top-rated games of the year, right? It's the only reason they're in the game is because they are America's team. They're in it because of their brand, because of their mystique. They're definitely not in it over what they've proven the last 2 years because they went 8-8 and 6-10 and finished 3rd in one of the worst divisions in the history of pro football.
And Jerry talking about this is what the doctor ordered. No, what you wanted was a dose of the Jags or the Texans. That's what the doctor would have ordered for you.
Yeah, he's actually saying, oh, we can sort of check our oil. This will be a great measuring stick for where we are.
Skip, you covered this game too long. You know how valuable every win. Skip, you don't get to throw away wins just to see where you measure up at. You got to win every game. There's only 17. It's not like baseball, you got 162, or basketball where you got 82. Every game. And you're talking about, you know, we just want to see what we measure. We see what we measure up at.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you yesterday to start the show? I'm angry as a true diehard lifelong Cowboy fan that the NFL threw me to the wolves because it's not fair. You have to earn your way into the opening night game by at least being a credible rival of Tampa. No, we're not a rival. Did we win the division? No, we didn't win the division.
And made the playoff 2 years.
We haven't made the playoff for 2 straight years. Well, then we don't deserve, because this game always features the champion versus a credible opponent, right? We're not a credible opponent. Our quarterback has not played in 333 days. And we have a brand new defensive coordinator coordinating a unit that's going to feature a lot of kids, and last year's unit was, as you know, historically
And then Mike McCarthy said we got like 36 new players in this team?
Okay, that's what we're up against. Okay, and Jerry shouldn't be happy about that. He should be hoping you could sneak in there and play, at least not to embarrass yourself, maybe hang in the game for 3 quarters. Wouldn't that be like a moral victory?
But the thing is, Skip, Jerry's looking at it like this. I'm at a standalone. So all the promotion, all you're going to see is star, star, star. Where if I play on a Sunday, there's 8, 9, 10 other games going on. So, you know, you could easily flip, well, I want to watch Minnesota play Green Bay, or I want to watch the Bears play this team, or I want to watch San Francisco and the Rams. Guess what? You can't flip the channel. That's the only football game on.
Okay.
And we all know they've been waiting for this.
Guess who loves that? The owner. Only the owner.
Thank you.
Only the owner. He loves that. This is going to be his stage. He's going to get multiple shots of him up in the box because he has become the star of Hard Knocks.
What you want to bet? They show more on Jerry than they do the great Glazer family that actually won the Super Bowl.
Well, I totally agree. No, completely agree. And yet, and you can disqualify me, you can dismiss me as a delusional Cowboy fan, and I got a lot of that in me. But I will say this. My team is, to me, the biggest X-factor team in the whole league. They're hard to predict because there are components there where you say, I
already predicted it. I already predicted you're not going to the playoffs. I predicted that. I foretold that.
Okay, could the offense be explosive? Yeah. Okay, and it's a lot of ifs. If that offensive line stays healthy, what if Zach Martin, God forbid, what if he plays tomorrow night?
You know what I noticed what you do? When you talk about the Cowboys, you always speak about that offense, but you do know there are other phases to the game.
I do, but I like my kids, but they're just raw green kids right now in metallic blue, and they're up against the GOAT who will pick them to pieces if they give him the opportunity, right?
Yeah. If he throw for 500 yards and probably put like 45 on him, I might be willing to bump him up on my all-time list.
Really?
Yeah.
To what, second maybe?
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that.
You'd
if he
move
get
him up.
545 points on the Cowboys.
Really? You'd move him past Lawrence Taylor into second on your all-time?
I really think about that, Skip. Yeah.
How about to first ahead of Jerry Rice? Right?
He might go out there and throw for 600 yards.
You know what? He does watch, and he would write this down, 600 for number one. Okay?
Skip, I think somewhere between 350 and 380 is probably doable. I'm thinking in 3 touchdowns.
I think he'll go over 400.
You think he'll go over 400?
Yep. But everybody keeps talking about...
But you said it's going to be close. You all of a sudden, but you changed after Hard Knocks, said the game's going to be closer now.
It'll be a little closer than 35-10, but he'll throw for 400.
35-17?
Maybe. Well, hey.
You know that's still not close.
Hey, Dak is great in garbage time.
That's still not close.
Is he not great?
Yeah, he is.
Was he not on a historic pace last year in the first 4.5 games?
He was on a historic losing pace, too.
Okay, he was, but he was throwing for a lot of empty calories.
You do realize 17 points is really not close in NFL standard.
Okay, maybe I'll get to the 20s by tomorrow. Maybe I'll get to 35-21.
14 points is a lot in the NFL.
I told you that the spread should be 12. I told you.
Well, just so you guys have this for reference, Tom Brady is heaping praise on the Cowboys defense. So maybe this thing may be closer than you expect. We'll tell you what he said, what the GOAT said, next.
No mercy, no mercy, no mercy, and I won't back down.
Tom Brady's Bucks are getting ready to face Dak Prescott's Cowboys, but the reigning Super Bowl MVP is actually pretty concerned about Dallas's much criticized defense. Brady told reporters this week, quote, they have one of the best offenses and a very talented defense. They're very deep at linebacker. They have a good push up front, and I think they have a very talented secondary. It's a big challenge for our team. Shannon, are you buying what Brady is selling?
No. This is what quarterbacks say about every opposing defense they go against, and they say all these things. Oh, they're very good up front. They're very good. They can collapse the pocket. They get great pressure, Skip. They're great on the back end. Very talented defense. This is one of the worst defenses in football last year. This is what Brady said this summer, Skip. Brady admitted he doesn't tell the truth when talking in press conferences. What I say versus what I think are two totally different things. Mm-hmm. I would say 90% of what I say is probably not what I'm thinking, which is challenging. Take it away.
So you're just dismissing it all. It's all disqualified because it's all phony baloney, pre-game phony baloney.
He told you. He says, what I say is what I'm thinking.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to start with what he said about Dak Prescott. He's a really talented player. I'll give you that. I think he believes that.
Everybody in NFL, newsflash, all right. Everybody in this league is talented.
He goes on about Dak. Really, since the day he came into the league, he's shown to be a great leader for that team.
Okay, true.
Okay,
that's
so
10%.
I got to witness Dak Prescott play Tom Brady at Foxborough one time and one time only. They have met only once in Dak's fairly brief NFL career.
He's 5-0 against them, I think.
Against the Cowboys,
yes,
but not
against
Dak.
Yeah, he 1-0 against Dak.
Okay.
Yeah, Cowboys.
If you remember that game at New England, it was a miserable day. It
Rain,
was
cold.
sleeting, sort of rainy, slippery, and his number one receiver decided no mas. I go Roberto Duran. Amari says, I quit. I just can't take Stephon Gilmore. He's got me. He's got my number.
Right.
He owns me. I'm going to go stand and watch the rest of the game. Put a cloak on me, right? Okay, so Dak in that game was 19-33 for 212 yards. Not terrible given the conditions. No touchdowns, 1 interception. They lost 13-9. So they were in it all the way, but you never got the feeling that they were going to get over the top on New England. It just felt like New England was in control of a 4-point game the whole way.
Right.
His QBR that day was 28, scale 0 to 100. And yet Brady really wasn't any better because he was having a hard time throwing it too, and he had no receivers. Remember, that was the day he was down on N'Keal Harry.
Right.
And he was 17 of 37 for 190, 1 touchdown, no picks, QBR of 43. So QBR was 43-28.
Right.
But I think he has some respect for Dak. I'm going to give you that much, some respect. But to call Dak, he goes on to say, Dak's a great player. No, he's not a great player. He hasn't even come close to proving it. Could he one day prove to be a great player? He could. But Tom knows in his heart of hearts, that's a lie.
Right.
You know, that's just saying the right thing to say. Okay, so now he goes deeper into what Dallas is. They have one of the best offenses. They could have
yes,
if they stay healthy. And a very talented defense. Interesting. So, again, delusional Cowboy fan over here. So I'm trying to pick this one apart. He says they're very deep at linebacker. I will give you that one.
Yeah.
I believe he believes that because Micah Parsons is the real deal,
right,
except he's never played a single NFL regular season game.
Right.
You loved him going into the draft.
Yes.
I think you are going to be validated because I think he'll be the defensive rookie of the year. And yet he's a rookie starting alongside a Keanu Neal, who was on a historically bad, the all-time worst pass defense in the history of pro football was Atlanta's, overseen by Dan Quinn last year. And yet Keanu Neal started at safety, and he's a box safety. He's a thumper. He's a hitter. So they have now moved him up to linebacker, and in the preseason, he flashed to me. Like he will knock your block off.
Okay, Skip, how about say talented, but not very talented?
Okay. Jabril Cox, the other rookie at linebacker that they got, who's North Dakota State via LSU, he's going to be a talent. Trust me, he's going to be a star in this league. Maybe I shouldn't go star yet for him. He's going to be a starter in this league. So I got those three, and remember, I got Leighton Vander Esch and this guy named Jalen Smith, who both made Pro Bowls, and they're dropping down my depth chart at linebacker. So is it fair to say they're very deep at linebacker?
Yeah, they are deep.
Tom knows what he's talking about. Okay, it's deep. You can say it's kind of unproven deep, but it's pretty deep. And then he goes to say they have a good push up front. Well, that's ironic because it's all new in the middle of the line right now. It's free agents Carlos Watkins and Brent Urban, but it's also featuring a rookie right now because Neville Gallimore blew his elbow. Okay, so the kid who spoke up and out against Tom Brady, Osa Odigizua from UCLA, third-round pick, he's going to be starting against Tom Brady after he took a shot at Tom Brady by saying he's old and he's immobile, right?
Yeah.
That was the one guy who took a shot at Tom Brady. You don't think he wrote that guy's number down?
I'm circling him on my screen when I see
I'm circling him. Well, the only push they got in the preseason, and it was a hellacious push, came from this kid who has one of those high motors where you're saying he just plays his tail off like he's on fire every play because it's just the way he's built. Well, will he be able to, is he going to get to Tom Brady? Will he be able to push the pile a little bit toward Brady?
Tom knows he needs to be strong, center, guard, and tackle, because that's where Tom is most vulnerable, Skip, in his lap. So you're trying to everybody knows we're trying to get him off the spot, which is easier said than done. Okay,
as you said, Tom's center is nasty. He is, and he is going to be, he'll get a piece of Osa and the two guards. That offensive line by the end of the year, it was top 3 in the league.
Yeah.
And I believe it'll be top 3 if they stay healthy, but they got good depth to that line too. Okay, so then he goes on to, says Tom Brady, I think they have a very talented secondary. Now, that one stopped me in my tracks because on my lie detector, the red alert went off.
Yeah, that BS meter.
Yeah, the BS meter. Boop, boop, boop. Trevon Diggs, we saw emerge in Hard Knocks, mainly because of his son.
Yeah.
Took it over, Aiden. But is he a talented player? I'm going to give you that, right?
Yes.
Could he be a Pro Bowl player? Maybe.
Yes, I believe he will be a Pro Bowl player.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you that.
I believe he has that kind of skill.
Okay, then we go to Anthony Brown, once upon a time, a sixth-round pick out of Purdue who has started 41 football games for the Dallas Cowboys. He's the other starting corner, mainly because Patrick Surtain is a Bronco, because I believe they were sitting on Surtain. That's just me. It's possible they were sitting on J.C. Horn, but I think it was Surtain. And Jordan Lewis is going to be the slot corner, who I like but don't love. He's a second-round pick out of Michigan. Third-round pick out of Michigan. Pretty good, pretty good. But do you think Tom Brady's losing any sleep over that group?
Think about it. I got Mike Evans on one side, I got A.B. outside or the slot, and I got Chris Godwin. And y'all
keep going.
But you tell me you got Trevon Diggs, you got Jordan Lewis, and you got Anthony Brown.
Okay,
I
got DeMonte Kazee as safety. He was the starting safety for that Falcons defense that was the all-time worst pass defense in the history of pro football. And I got Donovan Wilson, who actually flashed. I was very happy with his play last year, so I do like him. But very talented.
Great, Cameron Bray, O.J. Howard.
Thank you. Scotty Miller. Keep going.
The thing is, look,
Tyler Johnson, keep going.
And we know, Skip, look, Tom is really good at this because he learned under the Belichick. you become very complimentary. Coach Belichick can go by and he give you every name of the player and where he went to school and what he did, yada, yada, yada. But as soon as he get back to that meeting room, we're going to kick there, you know what.
Yep.
Mike Shanahan was the master of that. Oh, he would tell you all about the guy. Oh, this guy can do that, and that guy can do that and do all this. And as soon as he got in front of us, hello, didn't I just hear you say they were good and then we're going to do this and they can do that? And you talk about we going to beat the brakes off them? Okay.
I'll bet Tom Brady spent 3 hours last night watching tape of said defense.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to get him, then I'm going to get him, and then I'm going to destroy him.
Yes.
And we should hang 40 on these guys. That's what he's thinking.
Because, Skip, with that secondary, that's not a secondary. Sometimes the secondary and the defensive line, they go hand in hand. Because sometimes you can hold up a little longer, you allow your front line to get there.
Yep.
And sometimes your line can put so much pressure on them, you got guys that can take chances. Are you sure your defensive line is going to be able to do anything against Tampa's O-line? Are you sure about that?
Randy Gregory's going to have to get home.
Yeah, I think Donovan Smith is. I think Randy Gregory's going to have to disrupt this game.
He is.
Because I don't know if Lawrence is Tristan Wirth is
he's a stud.
Real deal.
he going to be the deal with.
Made that very clear last season. Guys, is there already a chemistry issue brewing on LeBron's Lakers?
Yep.
I didn't
trouble in
suggest
Lakerland.
Shannon.
No,
Don't get mad at the messenger.
No, it's
don't
not.
go anywhere.
No mercy, no mercy, no mercy, and I won't back down.
Time for a trending story brought to you by Arby's. Arby's, we have the meats. Well, during his introductory press conference, Rajon Rondo was asked about what new Laker teammates he's excited to play with. The veteran replied, quote, Carmelo, obviously Russ. I just talked to Trevor Ariza. Trev beat me a couple years back in the 2010 finals, so we had a lot of great battles. Rondo had some battles with Russ in the bubble after Westbrook beefed with Rondo's brother sitting courtside during a playoff game, but Rondo added, quote, I'm looking forward to putting everything in the past and putting it together for the greater good of the team and win a championship here. There's a lot there. Shannon, how do you think Rondo and Russ will get along?
I think they'll be fine. I think Rondo summed it up best, Skip. Guys move on. When you become teammates, you can battle with someone. And the prime example is that one of our biggest rivals, Dale Carter, played with Kansas City started his career with Kansas City. And then we ended up signing him in free agency. We despised Dale Carter. I didn't have a problem with him. I knew D.C. He's from Atlanta, so I knew him well, but we despised him.
University of Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yep.
We put all that aside. Hey, my homeboy, you my homeboy, but I'm trying to break your neck while here on the court, on the field. But once he came there, we said we put all that aside because he was there, brought there because Mike felt he could help us win, and we felt he could help us win. So let's put all this pettiness aside. That when you were at Kansas City and we're over here, we going back and forth. Let's put that aside. And that's what you do for the betterment of the team. You're trying to win games. We're on the same team. We wear the same uniform now. What good is pettiness? What good is beef going to do now? So Rondo summed it up best. And it's like, well, he didn't mention AD. Well, he hasn't played with AD before. Played with AD in New Orleans. Played with him a year ago.
I'm good with that.
He played with Bron.
No problem.
Played with Bron for 2 years.
Yep.
Obviously, Skip, Melo is held in high regard around the league.
He is.
Remember when he was out, everybody's like, Melo belong in the league. Melo belong in the league.
Agreed.
So I'm really not surprised, but like you said, yeah, you have beef with guys or a contention with have a contentious relationship. But if the guy joins me and he can help me win a ball game, that's all I really care about. But Skip, what I'm looking at, Russ is not a big man. Russ looked like a giant compared to Rondo. I'm looking at him in this picture, I'm like, well, damn. How much does Rondo look smaller than Allen Iverson?
Well, 6'3" to 6 feet. It's 3 inches.
Well, Rondo probably weighed like $165?
Probably. And what's Russ, 190?
Yeah.
195?
That's what I'm like. But damn, Russ.
Okay. All right.
Russ like
I got it. Nice try, because you got a problem. And I'm not sure you can get this one fixed.
What's the problem?
We've heard from one of these parties, but we didn't hear from the offended party yet, because the offended party in the bubble was the guy on the left, Russell Westbrook, right?
Yeah.
So are we sure that Russ will be able to move on from this incident? Because it got pretty ugly in the bubble. Remember, nobody's in the stands, so only friends and family, a few, are allowed to sit courtside.
Right.
So you can just hear everything echo through the whole gymnasium, right? Okay, so what happened? It's game 5 of the second round, the win over the Houston Rockets by the Lakers, obviously. And Rondo is getting into it with Russ, and all of a sudden, Rondo's brother William joins in from a courtside seat and yells at Russ, "You are trash."
Right.
It's like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Are you talking to me? Said Russell Westbrook. And then the brother does the Dame bye-bye. He waves bye-bye to him. And that's when Russ said, no, you're going bye-bye. And he went and got the security and said, I want him out.
Right.
And then after the game, Russ says Rondo was talking SH. And then his brother decided he wanted to hop in too, said Russell Westbrook after this game. And he concluded, he started talking crazy, and I don't play that. Yeah. Okay? So he did say that Rondo was talking you-know-what to start it off, because that's what Rondo does.
But Skip, we're a opposing team, and guess what? If I'm in the stands and my brother talking, guess what? I'm joining in.
What's the golden rule? Told to me repeatedly by the Hall of Famer across from me.
What?
When a family member speaks for a star, speaks publicly for a star, what do you have to assume? That it came from said star, right? So said star is Rondo. Right. Does Rondo privately tell his brother he's trash? Maybe.
Well, guess what? I don't put that aside. I ain't gonna be trash for the time being. You ain't trash right now when we together. Skip, you put all that aside. All that pettiness, all that stuff. We about to win the championship.
Oh, okay.
We about to win this championship. And then we win the championship, then what you gonna say? Okay.
Who are the 2 hardest-headed point guards in the league to me? I think they're 1, 2, 2, 1, however you want to rank them.
But there's no competition.
Those 2.
Skip, there's no competition. Okay. Russ is a starter.
Who are the 2, I'll do this. Who are 2 of the quickest triggered tempers in the league? Those 2, right? They both have quick triggers. They can just flash and go, right? Yeah. Both of them. Right. They play with high emotion and it just snaps, and you got to be careful, especially with Rondo. But Russ has it in him too, where he'll just go crazy. Rondo's ready to fight. Russ is just ready to go off.
Skip, we're on the same team. We're on the same team.
You play the same position.
Skip, one guy makes $44 million. The other guy makes 2.5. Okay. One guy was traded for. The other guy got bought out and got signed as a free agent.
What does the backup have that the starting and star does not have? He has the highest basketball IQ, second only to LeBron, to me, is Rajon Rondo's IQ. Russ was not gifted with that kind of a basketball mind. Russ plays more with emotion. He plays with supreme talent. He's physical. He can still leap, as we saw in the ridiculous dunk that he posted, dunking on those little high school kids. But we get it. He is a supreme athlete, still at the backside of his prime. We get all that. But if I could pour Rondo into Russ, I might have Jordan, man.
Skip, I get it. Although he might not be the basketball savant that Rondo is, you don't stay in this league as long, and you don't lead the league in assists without seeing things before they happen. So I do think Rondo has a very high basketball IQ. Although it might not be Rondo's, that's okay. Yes, he survived. He's more athletic. He might be the most athletic point guard that we've ever seen.
He might be.
Now, I would have loved to see Derrick Rose get about 10 years before he started having these injuries, because I believe he was Russell Westbrook before Russell Westbrook was Russell Westbrook.
But he was.
But Skip, for me, I put all that aside. No matter what I thought of you as another team, if we become teammates, our goal should be the same: is to win and to win a championship. So I put all that aside.
I ask you, how many nights will Rondo, playing 13 or 14 minutes a game, be sitting over on that Laker bench, watch Russ turn it over, kick it out of bounds, and drop his head and think,
that comes along with the territory. Skip, Russ is not going to all of a sudden go from a 4-turnover guy to a 0.5 turnover guy. That's not what he does. That's not who he is, and that's okay.
He has led the league in turnovers 4 times, finished second.
And he led the league in assists, too. Talk about that.
He did. Well, I've talked about that because the only way he does it is he attacks the basket, and he figured out 5 years ago, if 2 guys come and meet me at the rim, I just drop the ball behind me and let Steven Adams dunk.
Well, he ain't going to have to do all that. Yeah. Guess what? Because he got other guys that can make shots. He got Goat James. He got AD. So now you got 2 other guys, whereas before you had nothing.
LeBron, too many nights he's going to be standing over on the wing saying, can I play?
He had look, when he had James Harden had averaged 35. He had Paul George averaged 28. KD won 4 scoring titles with him. So all of a sudden, he bad for business.
Well, KD decided he is bad for business. Can't win with him.
Oh, KD left. That was well within his right. I love it. It's business. Like people tell me when players get cut, it's business. Well, this was Kevin Durant made a business decision. I got no problem with that. But guess what?
Guess what?
When I cannot wait for the season. How much longer we got to wait for the season to start?
Collision course, Rondo, Westbrook.
No, collision course, Sharpe and Bayless, when the Lakers are beating the brakes off team. And then you come out here, you got to come out here.
I'll be right here. I'll be sitting right in my chair.
You got to come out here and talk about, it's not going to last. LeBron is playing high minutes.
I cannot wait to talk about the internal dissension that the Lakers are suffering.
You know what, Skip? See, you try to manifest things. That's what you want to happen.
I'm speaking it into existence.
No, that's exactly what you want to happen. But see, I don't do that. I don't wish no ill. I want the Lakers to be healthy, and I want the Nets to be healthy because I don't want any excuses.
Yeah, I don't.
Because you make a lot of excuses. If James Harden, he was horrible, he was a shell of himself, and Kyrie wasn't there. You made all these excuses.
I just hope the Lakers get to a healthy Nets in the final because you would get embarrassed.
How? You make it seem like we got to go.
By the best player on the planet?
The GOAT.
James Harden, the best point guard in basketball.
Y'all about to trade for Giannis?
Huh?
Y'all about to trade for Giannis?
Kyrie with the Uncle Drew handles.
Oh, y'all about to trade for Giannis, huh?
Yeah. We don't need Giannis.
You talking about the best player on the planet? That's the best player on the planet right now.
We got KD. That's all we need.
We got GOAT James.
Yeah. Well, he used to be for a while.
He still is.
At least in the conversation.
Oh, but you know AD going to bounce back in a big way.
Really? Where is LeGon now? Is he still over in Italy?
Enjoying his time off. But did you see him?
You know
did
what?
you see him exercising on the yacht? You see him getting that bad work? Okay, then.
Really?
Yeah, he put that work in.
I see him do this.
Exercising
he's at a winery.
Did you just hear yourself say that? Exercising on a yacht?
Yeah.
Life must be good.
How many glasses of vino has he had? Probably
good for you.
By now, he's probably had 17.
They say you need like a bottle a day.
Really?
Yeah, a bottle of red wine a day.
Bottle a day keeps the doctor away?
Glass bottle.
How many stogies has he had by now?
Man, there you go. See, you keep finding something else the man doing.
He's on vacation.
Shannon, you FaceTime him. You let us know how we
please.
that. Guys, back to Hard Knocks. Was it a positive or negative for the Cowboys? We'll tell you what Jerry Jones had to say after the break.
No mercy, no mercy, no mercy, and I won't back down.
And guys, Hard Knocks. It wrapped up its 5-episode season last night. And while Mike McCarthy is already on the record saying that he's happy to see the cameras gone, Jerry Jones insisted during a radio appearance that their presence wasn't a distraction. Jones said, quote, everybody is aware of anything that's going on, really. It's there, but I'm such a believer in that attention at the drills, at the practice level, causes the players to practice and push even more than if it weren't there. That's always offset any type of distraction thought. Shannon, do you agree with McCarthy that Hard Knocks was a distraction, or with Jerry that it actually helped motivate the team?
Well, I'm sure it was a distraction from McCarthy because McCarthy's trying to get a team ready for the season. Jerry Jones is just sitting up in there wanting cameras on him to showcase his palace and what he's been able to accomplish as far as the star and Jerry's world and all this other stuff, highlighting his yacht and helicopter and all those things. That's not what Mike McCarthy's doing, Skip. Mike McCarthy has to get a team, has to get 53 guys ready to play a 17-game season, and the nuances of what he's trying to look at guys and evaluate guys and have a good idea of who my starters are going to be, But there's somebody flashing up that we really need to give this guy an opportunity, or do we need to give this guy more opportunities as far as via the practice squad? That's not what Jerry's doing, Skip. Jerry's not going through the monotony of every single day evaluating the players. Jerry gets a sheet handed to him. Jerry ain't watching no tape. Jerry's not out there. He's sitting up top looking down. It's the coaches that are out there that's watching. Go back, get the tape, because as soon as they come down, they got even after every drill, they got somebody run it down, Skip, and they already start breaking the tape down. So when the coaches come out the field, Skip, they're stacked up on their desk ready to be evaluated. That's what Mike McCarthy said. Yeah, it's, I got to watch what I say, got to watch what I, all these other things. Jared's like, man, this is fun for me. I just sit up in my office and I'm telling y'all how much fun I'm having and what a great opportunity we're going to have. But that's not... And I don't think Mike embraced it. Brian Billick embraced it. Brian loves to talk. So He's like, hey, guys, hey, it is what it is. Have fun. But we were a veteran ball club, Skip. We had come out for winning the Super Bowl. So we were trying to go back, so we knew what it took. I mean, it was different. We didn't have bed checks. We didn't have curfew. We didn't have, even the night of the week of the Super Bowl, we had no bed check, no curfew.
But you were the first team ever to be on Hard Knocks.
Right. So it is what you make of it. But I understand from a coach's perspective, only the Cowboys would volunteer to do this. Ain't no other teams that, nah. Guess who they hadn't got? And who you're not going to get? The Patriots. Yeah, Bill Belichick said,
at some point, I think they have to do it, right? Isn't it going to be a league rule?
Yeah, hey, that's when Coach Belichick said, you know what? Mr. Kraft deuces, I'm up out of here.
I don't see that happening.
He's going to say, I'm up out of here.
Okay, I'm going to start with Mike McCarthy. I completely understand why he said he was so relieved by last Friday that the cameras were gone.
Exactly.
Because the cameras exposed him as a motivational speaker, as a commanding officer, as the general of the Dallas Cowboys. He's just not a natural-born leader. That is not his forte. I think once upon a time he was a really good coordinator. I think he was a great play caller for a stretch when he had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. He does none of the above now. And so if you ask him to provide a motivational speech for a segment of Hard Knocks, he's going to reach and he's going to look worse and worse because it gets lamer and lamer.
Yeah, it does. But Skip, you said he's not a great motivator. It's okay, Skip. You can be a great play caller and not very motivational.
Sure.
You can be very motivational but not a great play caller.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not even calling the plays and you don't provide the motivation, then what the hell are you doing?
And the most embarrassing moment is they're playing Arizona in a preseason game. That was Arizona's first preseason game, their second. And he's giving them a rah-rah speech like, we got to get even with these guys for what they did to us in the regular season at Jerry World. It's a preseason game. It came off as so pathetically lame and just trying too hard because nobody's going to buy that in your locker room.
The standard should be the standard, Skip. It doesn't matter who you're playing. Mike, and I always hark back to Mike, Skip, is that he always like, look, we know why we came here. We know what's expected of us.
Yep.
I don't have to tell you to play hard. I don't have to tell you to do this, do that. You know what's expected. You're being evaluated.
Yeah. So last night, he's getting ready for Tampa. We got to go get him, man. We got to play football. Just stop it. That's what I told you. Dak can speak. Mike, put a sock in it. Let Dak do all the pregame motivational speaking. I'm good with that. Now let's flip it to Jerry. So we have a coach saying, I'm relieved, and that was 2 days ago. Then we have Jerry yesterday on his show saying, no, it's great for our team. Well, he just shot the coach down and made him look even more foolish because he's saying this is exactly what you do need. You need cameras everywhere. We were the first to have cameras in our draft night room because everybody is on high alert because they know you got a lot of eyeballs on you. I buy what Jerry is saying. I do think it's good for a football team to have those cameras everywhere through the whole training camp because it does motivate you to practice a little bit harder. You're on tape for the nation to see.
Yeah, guess what? They film everything at practice anyway.
But it's not going on HBO.
But Skip, do you think them guys going to practice? I already know because the eye in the sky doesn't lie. That's the thing that we love about the camera. It doesn't matter. It doesn't look at anything other than what you actually did. So when the coach comes back and asks me, say, you did this, and I say, no, I didn't, I say, wait till you see the tape. And he say, my bad, you did exactly what you said.
You really think Trevon Diggs would have competed that hard against Amari if it weren't going on HBO?
Of course. Because the thing,
I don't.
Skip, because here's the thing, Skip. You have to understand, like, when we're in practice one-on-one, everybody is talking. I'm trying to shut you. I'm tired of you talking. Bro, it's hot out here. You talking about you beat me, you dogging me? Well, I'm going to shut you up tomorrow.
They were indoors. But go ahead.
Well, I'm saying,
I know. It's usually hot.
I mean, it wasn't really that hot out when they was out here, though. Well, Oxnard. Skip, so they get tired of me talking. I'm tired of them talking. We're going to put it to the test. So, because guess what, Skip? We look at they one-on-ones, they grade, they looking at that. Okay, what do you, 84, what you thinking on this one?
Okay, I got that. Big picture, I told you going in, I thought this would be great for my pretty young football team to get rocket launched out of Hard Knocks into the season, and I loved it for all the young players, for the Micahs and the Trevons, and even for Dak and Zeke. It makes you feel like a bona fide star. You have star quality because every Tuesday night you get to see what's happening inside the Dallas Cowboys on HBO. and it's not like the biggest audience in the world. It's not like a national TV audience,
Right.
but it has legs, and people watch it all week long on demand. So the point is, I think they rocket launched out of this because it all made them feel like star-quality stars. I think Micah became a thing in Hard Knocks, where he's like, I got to go live up to this on the football field, and I believe he will.
And another thing, Skip, is that when it comes time to get paid, you don't say, well, bro, you don't really be practicing hard. Remember what's coming out of Atlanta? Arthur Blank is talking about how Julio didn't want to practice. He was very, very willing, was not a participant, didn't want to practice. He wasn't like he was in the early stages. So I don't want to give you any reason not to give me my money when I come. Hey, bro, we need to renegotiate this thing.
I got it. Yet I saw Amari just competing his tail off.
Of course. Skip, because the one thing that you learn early on, if you let a guy think he can cover you, you got hell on your hands. Because now he jumping to the front of the line, hey, I got him. No, sir, bro. You're not going to do that on me.
Well, once upon a time, Stephon Gilmore said, I got him, and I'm going to make him quit.
I mean, we would literally call each other out. I mean, look, it's very competitive. Yeah, we're on the same team. Nah, get your ass out of here. Come on, let's go. I want the best. The best want me. So that's what we going to compete.
Good.
We gonna make each other better. I ain't gonna, Skip, I'm not going against no rookie. I'm not going against, no disrespect, bro. But I need somebody that's gonna get me good. Oh, come on, Croc. Come on, Shade Tree. Come on, D-Dodge.
Okay. We are going to compete tomorrow night at Go.
Yeah, they gonna there we go. That ain't no competition.
We'll be competing. And a lot of that competition has to do with Skip's quarterback. Dak Prescott, is he primed for an MVP season? Are we going there already? Stick around.
No mercy, no mercy, no mercy, and I won't back down.
Oh, and by the way, before Sunday, we're just a day away at this point from the Cowboys visiting the Bucs in the NFL season opener. Dak Prescott is ready for his first game action in 11 months, and Jerry Jones spoke glowingly of his QB during a radio appearance this week. According to Jones, quote, he's really looked crisp. He's very decisive in practice. He does not look rusty. Jerry also waxed poetic about Dak's leadership qualities during Hard Knocks last night. Take a listen.
Just that nature, that aura, that personality, it's just there.
There you go!
When he came in to visit before the draft, keep in mind we drafted him in the 4th round.
Yeah, I'll catch you.
He just had all the coaches talking to him, walking down the hall with him, and he was just like the Pied Piper.
Those leadership intangibles, right? Shannon, how much do you believe Jerry has come around on Dak since their lengthy contract?
I still don't believe he has, Skip, because even though he had him like the Pied Piper 2 years ago, he wouldn't give Dak a long-term deal. Last year, after Dak threw an interception, he said Russell Wilson make those type plays at the end of the ball game.
He did say that.
He was sitting, Jerry Jones was sitting where I'm sitting, Dak Prescott was sitting right there. He looked that man dead in his eye and said, I overpaid for you.
He did.
So guess what, Skip? After saying all that, I've given this man 4 years, $168 million. I gave him $75 million at the time of signing. Hell, I might as well embrace it. I might as well say, hey, bro, I put my arm around him. I got what I got. He got no choice now, Skip, because everything that he said, he knew that going in. He knew what type of leader Dak was. He knew how hard Dak practiced. He knew how Dak threw the football. Yet and still, he was unwilling to give him the long-term deal. It wasn't until his back was against the wall and he had no other choice. How you gonna say, you know, the difference is Russell Wilson make those plays at the end of the ball game. Skip, how you gonna say that about your quarterback? You think even Coach Belichick, you think Coach Belichick would ever say, well, Peyton Manning make those throws at the end of the game?
I don't know. He took some shots at Tom.
No, Skip. He never took anything about game. He might have said
he wasn't exactly open heart.
Yeah, I'm saying, but Skip said that's different. That was different.
Tore his
throwing
hand.
He wasn't gonna say, well, you know, Patrick Mahomes would have made that throw.
No.
Come on. And then you go, Skip, how you gonna say you overpaid for the man? How you gonna say you sitting right next to your girl, man? You know what? You weren't my first choice, but you know you all right. What you think he gonna do? Get in? All right. I'm your last one because I'm up out of here. Jerry Jones has no choice, Skip Bayless, but to embrace Dak Prescott. Because guess what? They got another 3 years in this marriage. Dak isn't going anywhere. Jerry understands that, so now all of a sudden he want to heap the praise like I knew he had it in him. No, you didn't.
And Jerry believes his clock is ticking at age 78.
Correct.
Right? His window is slowly closing.
Yes.
Last night, end of Hard Knocks, Jerry went straight huckster. He became snake oil salesman Jerry, and that was straight acting because he was hyping opening night Jerry at Tom. That's what it is. It's Jerry at Tom. That's how he perceives what's about to happen at Tampa Bay. And to hype it, he has to hype his quarterback. So he goes completely over the top. He's talking about that nature, that aura. He says that character, that glow. And then he goes to Pied Piper. He's talking about Dak when he visited before the draft.
Right.
Well, he fell all the way to the fourth round. Why didn't you take him in the second round?
And he even asked that question, how did we get him in the fourth? Yeah, good question. How did you?
Because he was making the point that it's still very hard to measure intangibles. And it is. When it comes to the quarterback position, it is. They swing and miss every year. About half the first-round picks will be swings and misses when it comes to that position, because that position is played with the intangibles as much as the tangibles.
Yes.
See Tom Brady.
Yes.
So he's talking about what a great leader Dak is, and yet that was my first thought. I immediately tweeted this because I believe in Jerry's heart of hearts, he is not sold on Dak as a winning quarterback. I just believe it because he would have done that deal along with Carson Wentz and Jared Goff's timing. He would have done it ahead of them.
But he extended Tony Romo so quick.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. And by the way, when he took the shot at Dak on his radio show, it was the last play of the game at Seattle.
Yes.
When they crept back into the game, another big garbage yard game, empty calorie. But they did have a throw into the end zone at the end of the game.
That got
intercepted, where he wheeled out of trouble and got free.
Heaved it up,
going to his left, going the wrong way, and had to throw it back. And he made the point that not only would Russell Wilson make that throw, but he threw in Romo. He said that's the kind of play Romo made.
Yeah.
Well, he just recently said Romo is a first-ballot Hall of Famer.
Yes.
And his first-ballot Hall of Famer, I'm thinking, if I'm Dak, I don't love him saying that about a guy who never won anything, who preceded me. I beat him out. My rookie year, I just flat beat him out.
Right. And he said he's never seen anybody that prepares and does this thing and takes what he learns to the practice field and then puts it on the game tape. I said, well, damn, Troy Aikman didn't want to hear that. Troy said, what the hell you think I was doing?
Well, and remember, as a raw rookie, as a fourth-round pick, Dak Mac trucked, as in Mac Jones, Tony Romo, right? He just Mac Jones. He just ran over him. A little different that he got an opportunity to actually start while Tony was supposed to be the incumbent, right?
And what happened, Skip? Tony Romo gave him an opportunity to be seen. Tony Romo got hurt. Remember, he got hit in the back? He got hurt. Dak went in the ball game, but we never saw
it. That was in Seattle, even in the preseason game. Yeah.
That's how that's how Tony Romo got in.
And that was the first night
Dak
got in. He got hurt in the dress rehearsal preseason game at Seattle. And I'm like, this kid Dak is something. And then here we went. Right?
So you got it up. So he let them get an opportunity to see Dak for an extended period of time. Mac Jones talked about it on WEEI about the opportunity that he got to get extended reps.
He did, because of
the misunderstanding.
So now back to Dak Prescott. My owner is not sold on him.
No.
And you have said that the most pressure in Dallas is on the quarterback. He's going to make $75 million. And don't think Brady didn't have this up on his bulletin board. He makes 75, I make 27.5. And Brady's second on the quarterback pay list this year. Well, that's about $50 million difference.
Brady made 45 off the field.
Okay, well, you can argue. I think Dak's making somewhere in the ballpark.
Yeah, 12.
Well, I think it's more than 12. He's got so many national commercials. But the point is that in the big picture, it's a huge year for Dak Prescott, and it starts tomorrow night with no reps, like no preseason.
That's why I say Dak has the most pressure, because you just said it. He's playing for an owner that doesn't truly believe in him.
I agree. So it's up to Dak. And I challenge Dak right here, right now, show him, shut him up, or turn him around. The next time he glows about Dak, he should be glowing for legit reasons, where he did that. He threw for 350 and outplayed Tom Brady at Tom Brady.
But Skip, there's something to be said. Sometimes, no matter what Dak does, unless Dak wins a Super Bowl, I still believe he's going to be that Tony Romo was better. Yeah. And his thing is like, if I had given Tony Romo these weapons, Tony Romo would have won a Super Bowl. That's what he believes.
I agree. Well, here we go.
I'm sorry. It is what it is, Skip.
It is what it is. And the NFL kickoff week, guys, it is sponsored by Las Vegas because finally football is here, your home for all live sports, every game, match, race, and competition. It is always on. More Undisputed after this.
And I won't back down.
Former USC and Patriots fullback Sam Cunningham passed away at the age of 71 yesterday. Cunningham famously ran for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns to beat an all-white Alabama team in 1970, which led to Bear Bryant's decision to start recruiting black players. Jerry Claiborne, a former Crimson Tide assistant, famously said, Sam Cunningham did more to integrate Alabama in 60 minutes than Martin Luther King did in 20 years. Wow. Shannon, what is your reaction to this news and Cunningham's impact on football?
Skip, I did not know Sam Cunningham personally, but I played with his younger brother, Randall, and Randall referred to him as Bam, but I understood who he was and what he represented. And I don't know if a lot of people realize this, Skip, but that was his first game starting.
It was. He's a freshman.
Because freshmen could play. Football and basketball was the only college sports that didn't allow freshmen to play. All the other sports allowed college freshmen to play. So it wasn't until 72, 73 in which college freshmen got an opportunity to play. Skip, what he did. Now, in 1940, I think the first year was maybe 67. I think Kentucky had a black guy that played Nat Norrington. I think that's his name, Skip. But
in football.
Football. Yeah. It wasn't until Bam Cunningham. Because back then, Skip, the only time the Alabama played the USCs were in bowl games. Teams from the West didn't go south and play. Him going down there and Coach Bryant seeing up close and personal what black players could do. That was also the first time an all-black backfield. Clarence Davis and Jimmy Jones.
They did. They have black quarterback and black running back and black fullback. Yeah. Whew. Right before your very eyes.
Coach Bryant said, nah, bro. Nah, y'all ain't finna leave me behind. It's just like, think about this, Skip. This was the early 70s. Now, Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in 47. 1964 was the Civil Rights Act. They were supposed to be in compliance. That was 64. We're talking about the late 70s, and they still hadn't come into compliance. It wasn't until the federal government says, we're going to withhold federal funding if you don't do the right thing. So the 1886 case, Plessy versus Ferguson, separate but equal, was no longer going to apply. Get these, Skip, and once they did it, the floodgates opened. It's happening the same thing in football, Skip. What did they start doing? Going to black colleges and getting these black players.
They did.
You see what happened. It changed the trajectory. They got these black players in baseball. Jackie Robinson opened. All of a sudden, the Willie Mazes, the Henry Aaron, the Frank Robinsons. It changed the dynamic, and Bam Cunningham was the reason why. A lot of these black athletes, what you see going to USC and going to Alabama and all these schools, is Bam Cunningham.
This was Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama. Packed house.
Yes.
Opening game, opening Saturday afternoon. I watched it, but I wasn't old enough to get the magnitude of what was about to transpire. But USC from the West Coast, from Southern California, which was much more open-minded and progressive, said, watch this. And you're right. Coach Bryant watched it up close and very personal. Just for the record, he had already recruited one black player, Wilbur Jackson, who was not yet playing for the team. But all of a sudden, the floodgates opened, and Coach Bryant was going to win 3 national titles through the rest of the 70s, through that decade. And it's because of this. This was momentous, this breakthrough that happened in large part because Bam had that game, 135 and 2 touchdowns, and he was one of the first to do the 1-yard leap for the touchdown. That's how he got the nickname Bam, and it's one of the great nicknames in the history of sports is Sam Bam.
Because he was a fullback. Skip, now we all know USC is tailback U. Because they had O.J., they had Mike Garrett.
They'd already had O.J.
O.J., Mike Garrett, and then all of a sudden you got Clarence Davis, you got Bam Cunningham, Reggie Bush, Charles White, Marcus Allen. They were loaded.
And I had the privilege in about 75-ish of interviewing Sam Bam Cunningham, who was then, remember, he became New England's all-time leading rusher.
Still is.
And he was a delight because he was very wise beyond his years. He knew what was happening that day.
Right.
And his point was, to me, they won too. We beat the hell. I mean, you know, like it was 42-21. They won too because it opened the door.
So now all of a sudden, Coach Brian said, Ozzie talks about that. I talked to him about that game. He's like,
Oh, good.
Because he ended up going to Alabama.
Yep. Wow. Very interesting.
Wow. Thank you both
Rest
for
in
sharing.
peace.
Yep. R.I.P. Our thoughts and prayers are with Bam's family. What a legendary career. More Undisputed, guys, after the break. Guys, a panel of NFL execs were asked to predict who would win major awards this season, and Bills QB Josh Allen got the nod at MVP. So, Shannon, right now, who's your MVP pick?
See, I can see their picks, but I'm going to treat, as long as he's in his prime, I'm going to treat Patrick Mahomes like Jordan and LeBron James.
Well, then that's going to be another 8 years.
Yeah,
right?
Skip. I just don't think you can go wrong taking a quarterback, and I'm going to take that quarterback.
What about that one up in Green Bay? You done with him?
No, Skip. Look, the quarterbacks, Allen is a good choice because he's just gotten better and better every year. But if you say, okay, give me Mahomes, give me Rodgers, give me Josh Allen and Brady, you can't go wrong.
Oh, you happen to throw in that Brady
but I'm
guy.
just saying
you just tossed him right in at the end.
Oh, my goodness.
I love that. I believe that tomorrow night in Tampa Bay, Tom Brady will launch yet another MVP regular season. He should have won it last year.
No, he shouldn't have.
If you'd voted after the Super Bowl when you looked at the whole season, who was the most valuable player? He turned around the Succaneers in a pandemic with no preseason. They won it all. It's impossibly great. He was the most valuable player last year, but this year he will win it in the regular season.
No,
yes.
you can't go wrong. If you take Patrick Mahomes, like Tiger, when Tiger was in his prime, you went to a golf tournament. Who did you take every tournament?
Well, wait a second. Tiger lost the Super Bowl to Tom Brady, right?
No, he did.
Right.
He was on a bad leg.
Motivated by that one. All right, guys, the best news about all this, we got football tomorrow. Skip Shannon, we'll be all over it, guys. Have a great day.